Well, hello! Today I'd like to review one of my Survivor pens. This is a pen that I've had for a number of years and have reviewed before. This is a Pelikan m200. And so I'd like to update you on its status as a survivor and why it has survived so long. So let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and all price points, I'd invite you to subscribe. If you have a pen like this that you've owned for a number of years, but the romance is worn off, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Let's take a look at it. So I bought this pen actually long before I started doing pen reviews, so I've probably owned it for 5 or 6 years. I wanted a Pelikan. I like the looks of the m800. There have been a couple versions of the m800, special editions that have come out, and I said, oh, I want that. And I, so far, have not pulled the trigger. I have a few vintage Pelikans that I like very much. I just, for whatever reason, just haven't pulled the trigger on any modern ones that are at the really high price point. So this is about the highest priced modern Pelikan I've purchased. Sometimes you'll see this one sold in various color special editions as I don't know, they've had a turquoise, they had a cognac. Apparently there's a demonstrator out again this year. So they've had a few versions of it around. It's a good pen. So let's take a look at it. So if you look at the finial, of course you'll expect to see a pelican. And there it is, feeding its baby. Somewhere I was reading about how there's a legend about pelicans giving blood from their chest to their babies. And I'm just like, what? Pelikan beak as the clip, which is kind of a neat feature. I mean, it's kind of iconic, like a Parker Arrow clip. Otherwise, it's a, Germany. The acrylic, it's a demonstrator, and demonstrators, one of the weaknesses of a demonstrator is they start to show their age after a while. Nice little trim ring there. You can see there's a piston mechanism within. And I have it filled with iron gall mandarin. Years ago, I filled it with an ink that you can maybe see the ring there that partly stained it. The nib is easily removed. It screws out, which is a Pelikan. And of course, this is the fine point nib, and it has the Pelikan. This is a steel nib. If you go for the more upmarket Pelikans, they will have a gold nib. But this is a cheapie, relatively speaking. Oh, and you can see a little wear here, from capping it. One of the problems with reviewing a pen I've owned for a number of years is they do start to show their age, even though they may not necessarily be vintage. And I know I'm not like one of the active people, but I'm on the Fountain Pen Fora, the FP Geeks, and the Fountain Pen Network. And I know some people pride themselves on having pens that are like new and they're perfectly polished and have no scratches or blemishes. But I figure part of the story of the pen. They're going to get that eventually, no matter how careful you are. They're going to get wear and tear. I'm not careless with my pens, but, I don't treat them like delicate little flowers either, so there will be some wear and tear. Now, this pen is actually set in my drawer for a long time, and I'll get into why after the writing sample. So people are always looking for a flex nib. I won't call this one a flex nib, but I definitely call it soft, and it's kind of cool that it is so soft because it is a steel nib. As I said, I have KWZ iron gall mandarin, which goes on as a reasonably bright orange and then dries to kind of an orangish brown. Neat effect. As far as flex, I think I was just talking about that. Not a flex nib, but definitely very soft. Not as fine as some of my fine Japanese pens, but it's German. They're a little broader. So let's look at Wetness and Flow. The smear test, which is sometimes as much a test of the ink as it is of the pen. Pretty wet. You know, this is a very nice writer. And then I always like to do reverse writing, which I don't think I was into that kind of thing when I started doing these reviews. Ew, gross. All right, so not a reverse writer at all. I mean, you can do it, but ugh. So let's do a longer form writing sample. All right, so truth time. I like how this pen writes. It's flexible. It's a demonstrator, which is always kind of fun. It's a piston filler, which, you know, a converter is a lot easier to clean out, but I've just got a weakness for piston fillers. And yet, I found somebody who's interested in this pen and probably will not be keeping it. Why? I probably should do a video about this at some point, but eventually you reach the point where you're looking at all your pens and you're just saying, okay, you and you, who's really all that unique? Who needs one more flex writer? I've had it for enough years, probably 5-6 years, but I found, you know, this is why I started doing pens in use, is I started keeping track of what pens am I using and what pens am I not. And of course, part of it was a little modified by the fact I had to use pens several fills before I would review them. But then I would discover that certain pens, after I've done that, after I've reviewed them, never get pulled out again, and this is one of them. It just doesn't excite me as much as other pens that I own do. And I think that's part of where the fountain pen hobby eventually heads, is to editing, and like I said, that's a topic for probably a whole video by itself, so look forward to that at some point. But in the meantime, I don't want my loss of enthusiasm for this pen to detract from what the pen is. It is a very good writer. It is a flex writer. And just because I'm no longer so excited about it doesn't mean it's not a very good pen. So if you're looking for a pen in this niche, this is a good one. So hope that was interesting. Hope it was useful. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old, and at all price points, I invite you to subscribe. And maybe you are in the process of editing your pen collection, or maybe there's just a pen that you used to love and the romance is gone. I always think of that advertisement when I was a kid, and this man is eating soup, and his wife goes, "Oh, the magic's gone. The moment the lights go out, you fall asleep." And the lights go out and you hear a splash in soup, and then blubbering as he's breathing in the soup. And, yeah, I think that's where I'm at with this pen. The magic's gone, so I don't really know how to do a cool sound effect equivalent of that, so I'm not even going to try. So thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.